say I'm excited to be here with Wyatt Miller down in La Ventana, Mexico is an understatement. I think I tried to get down here back in October, November. Couldn't get down there until now. I'm excited to be here, Wyatt. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Hey, Fred, I'm glad to have you.
We were just talking about one of the issues that I have when I'm out winging. If I'm in a cold water environment with a wetsuit that constrains my forearms a little bit, and I'm not using a harness, I can't have a long session. You know, I get to go out for maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 back and forth, so I have to stop, shake out my hands. When do you think the right time is to go harness line?
I mean, the real thing is that once you go harness line, you won't go back. So I was kind of the same as you, where I was like, I don't need a harness line. I don't need a harness line. Why would I use a harness line?
Well, I like that freedom of not having anything around my waist.
Yeah, it's easier to climb on the board. You don't have to worry about the hook on the rail of the board. Why would you need it? And so I didn't use one for a couple of years. And then a buddy was like, come on, just try it one time. And the second I put it on, I was like, oh my gosh. I never went back. I was able to just really kind of sit down more and angle the board harder, which gave me a much better tack angle. So you're kind of like the kite foil racers with boards on its edge, and you're actually getting a better angle upwind. And then the real thing was that without the harness, I was constantly beating upwind enough to just the minimum to give me some room to do a downwind ride. And then as soon as I switched to using the harness, now I actually hook in, I can get a better tack angle, and I'm way more willing to actually spend 10 or 15 minutes just cruising really fast.
Because you're not zapping your arms as you're doing that upwind tap.
Exactly, and then you're actually giving yourself a whole bunch of space to have a really fun, long, enjoyable downwind ride. So
gotcha.
It was just the difference between barely getting upwind enough to just get a little ride and actually taking the time to be able to cruise upwind, and just much better tack angle. Your arms are fresh.
So one of the things I've heard, like if you have the harness line on there and you're doing a transition and moving from one side to another, does this ever slap you in the face?
You know, that's what you always hear is people like, oh, it hits you in the face, but I ride with mine pretty long, so it's, you know, I'd have to do a really weird swing to actually hit me in the face. And honestly, I don't really notice it when I do tack. So to me, it's kind of a non-issue. I would just throw the harness line on no matter what. I think.
Is there anything in terms of, are all harness lines basically equal? Do you just grab like your windsurf harness line, or this one I notice has some looseness in terms of where it attaches onto the wing.
Yeah.
That gives it nice swing. Does it matter? And you know, at least with slingshot, it looks like are these harness line connections?
Yeah, these are harness line connections, and it just connects with like a regular kite pigtail, so you can just kind of pop that loop open, and I can switch it really easily from one wing to the next. It just pops on, pops off with that, you know, easy little loop. Put the loop over the little ball, and bang. So I switch it between wings. You don't have to have one for each wing. You know, you do want it to swing, and you do need it pretty long. So, you know, I like to have them at least, you know, 30 or 32 inches, which is the biggest windsurf line you'd use. Most of the people I've seen out there are just literally taking a line and putting, you know, some PVC tubing they bought at the hardware store around and connecting to these points. We're coming out with one next month at Slingshot that looks a little bit better than this, but kind of has the same attachment point, and it's just once you go harness.
And then for the actual harness, is it like a standard kite harness or windsurf harness? Does it matter?
Yeah, so we're coming out with a few different harnesses. The real important thing to me, like for windsurfing, I've always liked a bar that slides, and most companies don't make a bar that slides, and that's really huge because then when you're going toe side, you can slide the bar over to your front hip, and it's easier to connect there, whereas if it's stuck, you know, right in the middle, you're gonna have a hard time toe side hooking in. So if you're gonna get a harness, you really want one with a bar that slides on the webbing. Just gonna really help you with toe side.
And can you actually toe side with a harness?
Yeah, I toe side with a harness all the time.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know like when you're toe side, your body's a little twisted, but if you could do that with a harness, you know, because a lot of times people will, if you're a surfer or somebody who likes to stay in your regular stance, whatever that is, you'll go toe side and you'll do your best to go upwind, but it's a little harder to pinch that back and twist your body to be able to stay upwind. But if you have the harness line there, I bet you can
just
probably
lean forward, you know, upwind like crazy, and you can really get upwind. So then you're actually gaining ground on both tacks.
Cool. And so, you know, is a harness line something that's an intermediate rider, or beginner? When do you think somebody introduces a harness line to what they do?
Yeah, I think if you're able to, jibe and stay on foil, then you can start putting a harness line on. And, putting a harness on, the only downside is you have to be a little careful when you climb on the rail of the board that you don't smash the hard hook into the rail of the board. But other than that, it's not gonna slow you down, or there's no downside. So even if you don't use it and you're not 100% ready to use it, put one on, and then you're gonna be riding along and be like, oh, you know what? I'm feeling pretty comfortable. Maybe I'll hook in. And when you do, it's just like.
And some of the techniques that I've seen out there, when you have a harness line on, you can take your board floating here and your wing here, and push yourself up like you're coming out of a swimming pool. So that you don't have to drag that hook over the board. I don't know if you use that or if you have a different technique.
Yeah, it's just like getting on a swimming pool. You got to get that bar over the rail of the board.
Yeah. Well, hope that's helpful. That tells you a few things about harness lines, gives you some considerations. I would say go ahead, attach them, give them a try.
Yeah.
I'm going to, because Wyatt said to do so. Thanks so much for checking out this video. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and come back for more tips, and we'll have more things to talk about slingshot too.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Wyatt.
Right on.